Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. In today's episode, we're going to be studying a piece by the established multidisciplinary artist known as Sweetdisguise, and in this episode, we're going to be looking at the symbolism of being trapped in solid stone. We're also going to explore the possible symbolism of the Night King, so let's jump right into it. So at first sight, we're met with what appears to be a single skull crowned by these brilliant jewels who is stuck within the confines of a crystal. At first sight, you may not see this as too symbolic, but there is quite a bit you could bring from this, and we'll look a bit deeper in that here in a second. But this initial introduction is a meeting face to face with this lone skull that is wearing a crown here. And of course, if you notice the use of space here, he's in perfect center right, so certainly elevates him as a main focus of the work at hand. And we see this further reinforce that brilliant, extremely white backing, right? So that bone, which even though this is bone white, it is rather darker compared to that extreme white in the backing there. Of course, this elevates and certainly defines a contrast there, and like I said, elevates the lone figure here. And you'll notice, of course, colors within this composition really consist of that extreme white backing. We also have, that grayish white bone here. There is some silver, some red of those jewels, and this is a motion media piece, so we're working with a screenshot. So the background is also multicolored, including orange, red, blue, and green. So that's pretty important here as well. But one may cite the instance of a flame within this work, especially in this frame here. You see, the orangish reds. So it certainly reminds of a flame or fire in some way or another. Perhaps one of the most striking elements here may be seen in the impact of texture, right? We have the solid and rigid bone here. We have the shiny silver teeth. You also have that shine against the crown and the backing there. There's also these silver barbed wire in the background at hand, certainly pointing to a sense of danger within this composition. All of these textures feel extremely realistic and, of course, immerse us so well within this work. And we'll talk a bit deeper about this here in a second. This is due to the digital render medium of expression which it is created in. I want to ask y'all, how do y'all feel when you first see this work? Of course, our lone subject is a skull, and he is wearing a crown here. And this is pretty important, right? The skull is a timeless symbol of death, because when we die, we all return to bones. That's extremely important, right? When we die, we all return to bones. So the skull is really a timeless and perhaps universal symbol of death in and of itself. Whether it's the human skull, whether it's the skull of an animal, they all symbolize death and kind of mortality writ large. And so within this work, we do have that instance of darkness, whether it's the barbed wire, whether it's the skull which is present within this work, whether it's the slight hinting of a flame within this composition, all are very important when we're looking at this work. And it's hard to notice at first, but our lone subject is trapped within a crystal here. You can see the kind of refraction created by that, but in the motion media work you can see that a lot clearly. Go check that out. It's much better at conveying what exactly is happening here. But we see a skull which is trapped within the confines of a crystal, and crystals are pretty important, right? They show a sense of the divine or the magical or the sacred, if you will. They are catalysts of light, which means they intensify light, and anything that intensifies light is going to be seen as a sacred or a divine symbol. But our lone subject is trapped within this crystal. So even though crystals are symbols of the divine, they are also a kind of solid stone, if you will. And so there is no escape for our lone subject, and that is incredibly important to the composition at hand. You'll notice our subject's teeth are also this kind of glittering gold. Sorry, not gold, silver here. But regardless, you have this shimmering effect within the composition. Perhaps this silver teeth and this crown jewels may point to a life of pleasure and status, right? Our lone subject is a king, so if he resides over the realm of the dead or anything that is dangerous, that is a lot worse than a simple demon doing deeds. Imagine being Satan versus just a simple demon. There's a lot worse going on if you are Satan himself. And so within this composition, we see this incredible mix of symbolism where you have the skull, you have the crowned skull, you have this silver teeth, and all of this is trapped within the confines of stone. So there is no escape within this composition. I think that's incredibly important. Perhaps our lone subject is the king of the underworld, and perhaps he resides over an endless life of pointless pleasure and pursuit of status, although it's hard to say exactly what's happening here. But regardless, I want to ask you, what do y'all see when you view this composition? The original artist works with a lot of, dark symbolism, if you will. For example, we have the work God here. This is the piece that I showcased just today, right after this work here. And you see in both instances, you have this extremely white background that allows that contrast to the most intense degree. You can see both these are also a portrait, so very intimate visual experience face to face with these lone subjects. Both these are also very dangerous compositions, very dangerous displays as well. So just want to bring that in real quick, kind of point to the artist's broad style. He really loves to work on the right, for example. That is his profile picture on many different platforms. So in both instances, you get a pretty good example of the lone artist style, and an amazing one at that. We absolutely love to see it here. So like I talked about earlier, this is an incredibly realistic composition, and this is due to the medium which it was created in. It is a motion media piece, but it was created in a digital rendering program known as Cinema 4D, with additional animation after that. So it's extremely realistic, kind of a digital sculpture, if you will, and then animated and brought to life as a result of that as well. So like I said, extremely realistic, does an amazing job of conveying the symbolism at hand. And like I said, want to ask you, what do y'all see when you view this composition, or what do you think the symbolism of this work is? But yeah, that's really all I have for today. I really hope y'all enjoyed. We talked about so many different things, from the portrait, the very intimate nature of the composition at hand. We talked about the colors within this composition, how this gray contrasts against that extreme white. We talked about the symbolism of the king, which resides over death, destruction, and danger. We also talked about the silver teeth and the crown of jewels, perhaps pointing to a life of endless pursuit of pleasure and simple status, although it's hard to say exactly what's going on here. Regardless, I implore you guys to give your own meaning to the composition at hand and really ask yourselves, what do you guys see when you view the work at hand? Yeah, that's all I have for today. Really hope y'all enjoyed. If y'all did, go check out the original artist Sweet Disguise, and certainly check out the original work. This is just a screenshot, a little low resolution one at that. So if you can check out the original work, the motion media, you can really get a good idea of what this work is. But yeah, like I said, that's all I have for today. If y'all enjoyed, go check out the original artist. My name's Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.